Okay. We saw yesterday, we began a sugya that if a person, an eved that brings a get, and in the get, it's written two things: that he's free, and he acquires the property, all the property of his adon. The halacha is that he's free, but the property of the adon is not, because you don't have anytime you have a transaction through a shtar, you need edim, you need kiyum shtaros. And over here, b'fanei nechtav only takes care of the cheres part. It only takes care of the him, because we make a hekesh between the eved and isha. So just like b'fanei nechtav, he alone would be believed. So too, l'inyan freeing himself, he would be believed. On the other hand, regarding the property, he's not believed. The Gemara then on the Shaila said, let's say you didn't say atzmacha. Let's say he brought a get and it said all my nechasim are acquired to you. What's the din, right? Do we say Halginan Dibura, and therefore he's free? He's free. Halginan Dibura, that he would be free and the nechasim would not belong to him? Or do we say Loi Halginan Dibura, and then he's totally free and everything belongs to him? Or do we say he's not free and nothing belongs to him? Again, if you say Palginon, I can divide the two. If you don't say Palginon, the din would be together. So if he's free, it belongs to him. If he's not free, nothing belongs to him. Good. So Abaya opted for the latter. He opted for Loi Palginon, and he wanted to say initially what? Initially, they're both free. And he gets the nechasim. Rabbi counted and says, "How could you give him nechasim? You don't have kiyum shtaris. You don't have on the moment part. You don't have two eidim." So Abai said, "You're right." So he doesn't get the property, and he's not free either. Read the Gemara, but he said, in other words, so Rabbi said, "Echad zeh v'echad zeh." Whether he says atzmecha, whether echad zeh v'echad zeh, whether he says you are free and your nechasim are free, are belong to you, or whether he said everything belongs to you, then what? He will be free and the nechasim don't belong to you. That's where we left off, guys. Because like Rava, we say palginon. So even whether you say atzmecha and then he's free because it's funny nechtav, and the mamin not because you don't have kiyum shtaris, or whether it says everything, even though you said kol everything and you're putting it the kit and caboodle together, you say palginon, so he's free and the mamin does not belong to him. Again, if he does have kiyum shtaris, of course the mammon would belong to him. Okay, that's where we're holding right now. The Gemara is going to question this idea that Rava holds palgin and ibura. L'chayr, we're going to see that Rava, there's a machloikas tanoim between Reb Meir and Reb Shimon. Guys, here's the Gemara outside. There's a machloikas tanoim between Reb Meir and Reb Shimon in this situation. Reb Meir says we don't say palginon. Reb Shimon says you do say palginon. So obviously Rava holds like Reb Shimon. The problem is the halacha is not like Rav Shimon. So question, how could Rava say that he's free and the chasim are not? If you don't say palginon, the whole thing should not be good. Because we passing like Reb Meir and not like Rav Shimon. And the Gemara is going to answer, the machloikas between Reb Meir and Rav Shimon is not contingent upon palginon dibura. In other words, Reb Meir could hold palginon dibura, and the din he has is for a totally other reason. So therefore, Rava would hold serve and everything would work out. That's the Gemara. I just have to fill in now that's the steps. We just have to fill in the details. Says the Gemara the following. Amalei Rav Adabar Masna Rava, who says palginon dibura. Because how you say palginon? Because he's free, and the chasim don't go to him. Kiman Reb Shimon. You say you take your words and you divide them, right? Anyone who writes all this nechasim over to his evid, Yotze ben Chayrin. Everyone will be maida that he goes out, he's a ben Chayrin. Everyone would agree he is a ben Chayrin. If you write all your property over, everyone would agree, no machlokes, he is a ben Chayrin because he is part of the property. Shayir karka kol shahu. However, if you leave over, I'm giving you over all the property except a field, then lo yotze ben Chayrin. Then he would not go what? Ben Chayrin. So karka is lav dafka, can even be metaltalin, right? So why would he not, right? Why would he not go ben Chayrin? Says Rashi, lo yotze ben Chayrin. The Bishleim Eresha, where he was not Messiah or anything, Gully, the Nachos the Shiure, where he showed that what? He's giving everything away with the Gatsa hearts, totally. Le'aminin the Shire. Abul Hacha, the Nachos the Shiure, where he's saying, accept this property, Aminin, Lididei Nami Shire. He's also Mishaya the Eved. In other words, once he's leaving over something, including the Eved. Why did he say Kol Nechasim? He wanted to go, says the Gemara, Lachnufe Lekos. He just wanted to go ahead and flatten the Eved that he's giving him something, even though he's not giving him anything. But he's not really freeing him. Since he didn't say, he didn't go and say Atzmachon Nechasai. So obviously, this Shita must hold, he'll say Palgin and Dibura, guys. What are we saying over here? He says, everything's to you except this land. If you would say Palginon, you'd say that 1 second. He is not land, he's an Eved, right? That's already a lumdis linyan kinyonim and being a Yerusha. But he's hookish the karka, but he's not karka. So when a guy says he's leaving over karka, doesn't mean he's leaving over his Eved. So if you hold that kol nechasai accept, and you don't say he's free, it must be you don't say palginon. If you would hold kol nechasai accept, and he is free, you would hold palginon. Reb Meir is of the opinion that he's not free, so it must be Reb Meir does not hold a palginon. And Reb Shimon Aimer lo'olam hu ben chayrin lo'olam he's free. And when he said lo'olam, meaning in any scenario, whether he said kol nechasai without leaving over anything, whether he said kol nechasai and he left over something, right? He would be a ben chayrin because we say palginon. Until shiyayim kol nechasai nesunim leploni avdi, all my nechasim are giving over to ploni eved. Except 1/10,000th of them, because then if it's not going on the karka, it's going on all the property. We'll say that he's part of the 10,000 that is being mishayir. There, Reb Shimon would be moida, he doesn't go free. The bottom line is, what do you see? That Reb Shimon is the one who holds palginon because we're dividing the two, and Reb Meir says not. Who's the halacha like? V'amar Reb Yosef Bar Minyumi, Amar Rav Nachman, Afa Pi Shekilas Reb Yosi as Reb Shimon. Even though Reb Yosi, the great Reb Yosi Chalafta, who was the halacha Nimuka Imoy, praised the great Reb Shimon by Yochai. Nonetheless, the halacha is Reb Meir. Nonetheless, the halacha is like Reb Meir. Where do you see that Reb Yosi praised Reb Shimon? Kishenemu devarim lefnei Reb Yosi, when they said Reb Shimon's words in front of Reb Yosi, Kara Alav HaMikra Azeh, Reb Yosi applied the following pasuk in Mishlei. Sefasayim yishok meshiv devarim nechayim. You say devarim nechayim, you're right for neshika, you're right to get a kiss. Okay, so now we have a problem. Let's go through the problem. You, Rabbi, said whether he says atzmecha v'kol nechasai, you yourself and everything to you. Whether he said kol nechasai, this guy is free, even though what the land will not be because you need kiyum shtaris on the land. Nonetheless, we'll say palginon. Who holds the palginon? Reb Shimon. Where do we see Reb Shimon hold the palginon? In the case over here, where even if you leave over a little land, la'olam, he's free. Why? Because he's not karka. He wouldn't be free if it's going on the whole thing, kol nechasei, except on 10,000th. But as long as he said karka, and he didn't say the Eved himself, he'd be free. So we divide the freedom of the Eved to the leaving over of the property. Okay, so now we just said, Rabbi Yossi said, and Nuka Imoy, the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said, the halacha is like Rabbi Meir, not like Rabbi Shimon. So how can you rather say Palginon and you're passing like Rabbi Shimon when the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon? Good. What the Gemara is going to do now is the following. It's going to say the machloikas between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Shimon is not dependent upon Palginon. So in other words, Rabbi Meir could also hold Palginon. So if Rabbi Meir holds Palginon, Rava would work out well. Right? He doesn't hold. No one said anywhere that we don't say palginon. You thought the pshat Reb Meir is because you don't say palginon, but that's not the pshat. We're going to have a different pshat Reb Meir. And the Reb Meir could hold a palginon. Rava therefore can be like Reb Meir, and therefore Rava's teretz that he gave before, whether you say atzmecha v'chol nechasai or you say kol nechasai, we'll say palginon and he's free and it's not. Guys, you good? Okay, let's see that inside. Says the Gemara. Umi Amar Rav Nachman, Hachi, does Rav Nachman go ahead what and say that we don't say palginon. Ve'amar Rabbi Yosef bar Minyumi, Amar Rav Nachman, shchiv meira shekosav kol mechasav la'avdoi. A shchiv meira, a person on his deathbed. The halacha shchiv meira is unique. He's got a lot of things to worry about. The last thing he wants to worry about is facilitating the transfer of whatever gift he wants to give. So what do we say? Divrei shchiv meira kiksuvim ukimsurim dami. We'll view them as written and given over. If he gets better, we say it's that what? That the only reason he gave it away is because of what? Because of his disease and thinking he's going to die. But once he's not going to die, then we'll say that it reverts. So now, he went ahead and he had this loyal servant. He wrote of everything to his servant. And now he got better. He got better. So he is what? The property goes back to him. It's not considered a matana. But he's not chayzer be'eved, and meaning the eved goes free. Chayzer ben chasim b'ma'na shchiv meirahu. He's chayzer ben chasim because it's matana shchiv meirah, and since he didn't die, we'll say he didn't mean it. Ve'ein chayzer be'eved shar yoytza love shem ben chayrin. Already went out to shem ben chayrin that he's what? That he's a free Jew. Again, an eved becomes a Jew. So therefore, once it went out that he has a shem ben chayrin, there's no going back. There's no going back. Once we makadosh the shame that he's a ben chayr. So now, isn't this a case of palginon? Guys, isn't this palginon, right? We're palginon. We're saying what? We're saying that the eved is free and the nechasim are not. Who said this? Rav Nachman. Who asked on Rava? Who asked on Rava saying the kasha in the first place of palginon? It was Rav Nachman, right? Says Amar Rav Nachman, 3 lines down. Amar Rav Nachman, Afa Pisha Kilas Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon halach Reb Meir. The halach is like Reb Meir. So in other words, obviously Rabbi Yossi, Rav Nachman holds like Reb Meir at this point in time, does not hold of palginon. Good. So it really is. I didn't fit this in well. It really is the following. Rava says palginon. The Gemara asks, how could Rava Pasi hold palginon when the halacha is like Rav Meir, loy palginon? And who said that? Rav Nachman. We now have Rav Nachman saying you do say palginon. So 1 second, you have a steer in Rav Nachman. He said the svara of Rav Meir was you don't say palginon, and the halacha is like him. And now he's saying by shchiv meirah vis-a-vis the freedom of the eved and the nechasim, they're 2 separate things. You do say palginon. So here's the answer, guys. Watch, look at my hands. We're going to say this din over here has nothing to do with palginon. We have to answer a stira in Rav Nachman. And the mela, by answering the stira in Rav Nachman, Rafa will become clear that it's not problematic. Good? So how do we answer the stira of Rav Nachman? Here's the following way. It says, El Amar Ravashi, Pasam Hainu Taima, Mishum Dloi Krus Gitahu. Over there by Reb Meir, it's not like you thought that it's not palginon. It's not considered a sefer krisis. It's not considered a cut. What's the case? What was the case? You wrote all your nechasim to your eved, and you left over something. By leaving over something, automatically, it's not so clear the sefer krisis. We're going to see later on in our Megarish, if a man divorces his wife, chutz from something, that chutz keeps them bound together. There's a shire. Ain't shir beget. She got to be cut. Boom, out. Over here, in this case, once you mishayir, it's not cut, boom, you're out. So that Reb Meir says is din is not a din in the palginon. He taka would have palginon. But that you can't be machalik between the eved and the property is because it's not a sefer krisus. And by eved, we make a hekesh, a gzeir shava, lo me'isha. Just like an isha, you have to have a sefer krisus. So to by the shtar shikra of the eved, it's got to be sefer krisus, and it's not. And that's why Rabbi Meir holds it doesn't work. So now the Gemara goes very, very beautifully. Says the Gemara, starting from the beginning. If a person goes ahead and says, your koina, Eved, your koina, and all my property goes to you, says Rava, your koina, the property is not. Why? Because you need 2 edim. There it is. If you say kol machasai and you don't say atzmacha, you are still free. And the property still does not go to you. Alginan dibura. The Gemara. How could Rava say How could Rav Nachman? How can you say that Rava holds Palgina Dibura? The halacha is like Rav Shimon, like Rav Meir, who does not hold Palginon. What's the case for Rav Meir? There's a Shimon I wrote over his property and left over something. And the reason why he is nothing worse because we don't say Palginon. So how could Rava go like Rav Shimon, not like Rav Meir? And for the Gemara, you got a problem. Rav Nachman does hold a Palginon. So Al-Korcha, since Rav Nachman doesn't hold a Palginon, there must be a different reason behind Rav Meir. What's that different reason? That its creases is not clear at the time because of the shear. And therefore Rav Meir says, if the creases is not clear, then the evidence not for either. But Einachinami, he would hold a Palginon. So Rava could hold like Rav Meir, and everything would come clear. Baruch Hashem. That's the way it would work out. Okay, let's just see the Rashi, guys. It's a little long Rashi, but I think it's very geschmack. Hassan, you see the Gemara, the Mishnah, 2 lines down parallel. Hassan Dam Rav Nachman Alach Rav Meir. I'm allowed mishum delay Palgin Dibura. The reason why he holds the Rav Meir is not because he doesn't hold the Palginon. The Kinami Hiske Shem Shir Karka Pliny, where he says the specific land. The Leka Plukta, the Dibura Kamar, the Dibura, if he would say the following, you're free and everything belongs to you except parcel A. So that's not Palginon over there. You said it clearly. Even over there, Reb Meir says you wouldn't be kind of every piece of land, right? Kamar Reb Meir, the lo yotzel cheres. He still won't go free. At the time, why? You know, you guys hear this? Reb Meir would say the following: if the person says all my nechasim you're free and all my nechasim are to you, except what? All nechasim belong to you except parcel A. You don't have to be alarmed in to see that's not a case of Palginon, because Palginon means when you say everything, kol, and then we touch up what you meant. You said all the property. What did you mean? Ever this way, this way. We divide your words. Over here, he divided the words. He said it. You and the chasim are all on this side, and parcel A is on this side. Now, if Reb Meir, the time of Reb Meir is because of Palginon, why doesn't it work over there? That's not Palginon. It's not all together when you're separating it. It was separated by his words. Yet Reb Meir holds that, guess what? He's not free. So obviously the time of Reb Meir must not be Mishum and Palginon. Continues Rashi. El time of Mishum, the lav kuskitahu. It's not a cut. The gabe isha ksiv sefer krisis. The shechuri avodim gemiri la meisha. The ksiv chupsa by the chatziev chabaschayrin chupsa leinitin la. Uksiv v'chasav la ubeinin b'hu krisis, and therefore you need a cut. The kima deklamema the shire. Since you see that what the husband left over parcel A, the nachas the shiure v'hu loy chuska b'toy chamatana loy ksiv le. It didn't write atzmecha you unachasay kenuya lecha and yechasam akainu to you lav krisis gamahu. Guys, watch. I said the following: all my nechasim, except parcel A, are given to you. Says me, it doesn't work. Because since this person shows he's not giving away everything, really he doesn't mean to give away the Eved either. He said, Kol Nechasai, we said he wants to mechanef the guy. So this isn't the Palginon, this is because it's not a Sefer Krisis. Memela, once it's not, I'll say it's because Sefer Krisis could be Reb Meir would agree that Palginon Dibura, in a case where you say Kol. Therefore, Rava would work out. Let's conclude the Shire. And when he said Kol Nechasai, guys, when he said and he didn't leave over anything, have a krisis lotzes. That would be a krisis to free the Eved. As long as he doesn't change his mind. And once he gets better, he goes free. Why? Shekitshu Hashem, because already he went out ashamed that he's the ben chayrin. The gabe milsid the Rava, the Evet shehevi gitay kurs gitahu. It's because he said there's no share over there in the case of Rava. When he nechasim like kana the baikiyim and good the property you won't get because you need kiyim shtaris on the two. I will ask my kind of the Palgina Dibura. Okay, very long-winded, but I think you got it. Right? Very long. Would anyone want me to go over this one more time? Yes, one more time? Okay, Nachiva, one more time. What did Rabbi say? Let's classic case. What's the classic case of Palginon? All my nechasim are given over to you, Eved. In the old days, we used to say buckwheat, but we stopped that because we have to be a little politically correct. But for the old timers, we used to say buckwheat. Anyway, so I don't know why I thought all of my nechasim are given over to you. Says Rabbi, what's the din? You're free, the Eved, but nechasim's not. You took the coal and you divided it. That's what you did. You took the coal and you divided it. That's what you did. Good. Hey. Read the Gemara Kasha. How could Rabbi say the halacha is like that if the halacha is like Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Meir does not hold a palgin in dibura? How do you see that? Because Rabbi Meir says if a person goes ahead, he gives over what? His property. He gives over his property. He says everything belongs to you, Eved, and he leaves over a particular land. Now, if you'd say Palginon, we'd say the following. We'd say that land is not acquired, and then Palginon will go ahead and say the Eved is. And we'll split these two things. Even there, Reb Meir says, no, you don't say that. Okay, we have a problem. Rav Nachman holds, you do say Palginon. Where do you see that? If a Shriv Meirah gave everything to his Eved, if the Shriv Meirah gave everything to his Eved, everything, so that's a kol. When the Shriv Meirah gets better, we're dividing it up. The Eved's free, and that's not. How's that possible? It must be Rav Nachman holds the Palginon. So now you got a problem. Rav Nachman says, yes, son Rava from Reb Meir, that you don't say Palginon, where Rav Nachman himself says, you do say Palginon. And for the Gemara, Reb Meir never said Palginon. We assume that was the reason, but it's not. What's the reason? Because since he left over something, he left over parcel A, meaning he wanted to leave over the Evet too. And therefore, that's not a safer krisos, and you need a safer krisos. You need a cut. That's the reason of Meir. So now, I don't have a steer of Nachman. Rav Meir could hold of Palginon. Rav Nachman says the lacha is Rav Meir. Rava, who says by kol you do say Palginon, now comes out very well. He could hold like Rav Meir, and now the Gemara is all glad. Okay, Baruch Hashem. Now the concluding din of the Mishnah was in Yeshel of Oyrin Yiskayim b'Chaysamav. If you have someone who goes ahead and is claiming that the shtar is not the get is not good get, you'll go ahead and you'll get the Eidim to testify in the signatures, or you'll have other Eidim testify in their signatures, or we said the Rabbanan, you'll bring another get that we had what that was authenticated in Bezdin and compare. So Irakama, how many people are complaining? Ilema Irachad, one person's complaining and saying it was Mizuyif. Bam Rabbi Yochanan, Divri Akol, Ein Ira Pachas Mishnayim. You need at least two. The El Ira tray, if you're going to say there's two, so now I have two people saying it's counterfeit. I have Eidim that they're going ahead and they're authenticating the signatures. So great, I got 2 against 2. Why automatically is the get a good get? They should be mevatel each other out. You have no evidence at all. Trey traininu. My chos is a samcha ahani. Why do you see to be soimich on the Eidim who authenticated the get? Soimich ahani on these 2 saying that it's a counterfeit. Ella must be Ella ira the Baal. You know who's complaining over here? The Baal. The Baal is coming to passel the get, and therefore, if you have the Baal coming to passel the get, if you have 2 Eidim connected him, it would go ahead and override the Baal. Okay, new Mishnah. I maybe get me Medina Sayyam. If this sounds familiar, we had it earlier on Daf Dalet. Someone brings the get Medina Sayyam, and he's not able to say b'fani nechta fani nechtam. In Yeshel of Eidim, if there's Eidim on the get, this kind of Chaysamav, you can authenticate it with their signatures. Okay, now a new din, and this is the first time in the Mishnah we're comparing Gitin Noshim b'Shechrui Avadim. Again, very important, very famous because they were Shava. The Chasav law Sefer Krifis, the Chubs Lanitim law. We're going to have this din of an Eved, it's going to have the same din as an Isha. And just as an Isha Yachse b'fani nichtam b'fani nechtam, who are then a get. And the Gemara, the rest of the daf is going to be based on this latter part of the Mishnah, discussing the similarities and dissimilarities between Geti Nashim v'Shechrei Avadim and other shtaris. Echad Gitei Nashim v'Echad Shechrei Avadim shavu l'moilach l'mevi, meaning you'd have to say what b'fanei nichtam b'fanei nechtam. V'zu achas min hadrachim, and this, the fact that you have to say b'fanei nechtam, is one of the ways sheshavu Gitei Nashim l'Shechrei Avadim, that Gitei Nashim and Shechrei Avadim are equal. This is one of the ways. First part of the Mishnah, let's go through this quickly. We did it. Why can't the person possibly say b'fanei nichtam? Do you tell me that what? That you gave it to a cheresh and he's not able to say, is a cheresh in the pasha of shlichus to bring the get? But Tanya, we learn in the Mishnah, everyone's mutter to bring a get, puts me cheresh right to a cotton with the exception. So obviously he's not in the ballpark. So how could he any yachal mean be speaking about a cheresh? So Rabbi Yosef, when you gave it over to him, he was totally okay. Like hispik loymar, b'fanei nichtam, b'fanei nechtam, he didn't have a chance to say b'fanei nichtam, b'fanei nechtam, ad shenis cheresh, until he became a cheresh. And then therefore he's not able to say. And the Gemara said, then we said he's speaking about that Shanisis, she got married, and therefore why we're not going to make her go out with this get. That's the Gemara. Tarabana. B'shleisha drachim, in 3 ways, shavu gitei nashim l'shochrei avadim. There are 3 ways that what? That they're equal. 3 ways that they're equal. How are they equal? Shavu l'moilach u'lemevi. They're equal the halacha what of Moilach and Mevi, saying b'fanei nechtav. 2, v'chol get sheish lav edi kute pasel, and any get that has edi kute mat is pasel. Okay. Chutz mikiti nashim shukray avadim. This is the Gemara in Daf Yomi base. We'll see it tonight, B'ez Hashem. That why if you have one A that's a kuti, by get it's okay, and by shtar shikha it's okay, but not other shtaris. So far 2 ways. They're equal b'fnei fanei nichtam fanei nechtam. B, they're equal that they're both kosher with a kuti, that's possible. And 3, the 3rd way they're equal, kol hashtaris amid beis, kol hashtaris ha'oila ba'kor shalev dikachavim. Any shtaris that went through the court, a goyish court, and Rashi says, shenasu hashtaris ha'yidei bezdin shalev dikachavim, and even though goyim sign it, sherin they will be good. So we have 3 ways that they are similar. The Indian that they would not be kosher having gone through a goyish court. And according to the words of Remeya, you have a 4th way that they're equal. If a man would say, give this get to my wife, and give this shtar shikha to my eved. Now, guys, if you say tein geschi, right, it's like he's zochen it already. So what's the din? Rabbi says you can have charata by both. You can have charata by both. The Rabbanan say that only by shtar shikra get isha can you have charata. You cannot have charata by what? By an eved, because an eved what wants to be free. An eved wants to be free. Now there's a din, guys, of we've had many times. This person was not appointed a shliach by the eved. He was not appointed a shliach by the eved. Now, if you say a din in schia, then this person can make himself a shliach for this eved, and an eved would rather be free, and therefore, if the eved, we consider the eved free, or in other words, there's two. It's not free automatically when it comes to the shliach's hands, but it helps that the Inyan chazara, the owner will not be able to have charata. The schia will help that since the shtar is in the hands of the shliach was zoicha for the eved, even though the eved is not going to be free until it actually comes to his hands. Nonetheless, the schia helps to disallow the master from freeing. Remeya says, no, Remeya says, zile, shchichle, pritzele, an eved likes being an eved. He can do whatever he wants. He's a woke guy. He can do whatever he wants, you know? So it's a chay for him to be free. So he doesn't want to be free. So therefore, late Remeya, who says, Gitei nashim v'shukrei avadim, are equal that you could have chazara. Therefore, we have a 4th way. Like the Chachamim, you don't have a 4th way because they're machalik between Gitei nashim, which you could change your mind because the woman wants to be married, versus shikra avodim, where a guy wants to be, an ever wants to be free. That's the hakdama here. Now, usually when the Gemara gives a number, it's to exclude something else. So the Gemara asks right away. Bishlein Rabbanon, who said 3 minyan lamute had Reb Meir, to exclude Reb Meir's din. That what? They don't agree with Reb Meir because they say that what? That it's not equal. They're saying you can't have charata by the eved, you could have charata by the shtar by the get. El Reb Meir minyan lamute mai. Reb Meir is for what does it come to exclude? And for the Gemara lamute hadatanya, the following: Eidim shein yoidim lachtoim. Eidim that do not know how to go ahead what and sign. Makrin lohem near. We're going to go ahead and we'll scratch in the parchment without using ink. We'll use a nail or something and scratch their names. And therefore, near v'cholak umamala esak akroyim. They'll fill it in dayoy with ink. They'll fill it in with ink. The Rach learns that you would make on a piece of paper, you would go ahead and rip out their names, put it on top of the parchment, and then fill it in. He doesn't like the lashon of mekarin. If it's speaking about scratching, it should say misartin with the samach. He's mekarin's lashon of ripping. So the Rach says they would rip paper, make it like an overlay, put it on top of the get, and go ahead and fill it in with ink. So that's machlokes Rashi and Rach and Pshat. But Amar Rabbi Shimon Gamliel b'medim amurim b'kitei nashim al shukri avodim mishal kol shtaris and yodim likrois. If they know how to read the lachtoim, then you sign v'mlav ein chaismin. So in other words, this would be the first exclusion because here we have a chilik between kitei nashim and shukri avodim. By kitei nashim, because of iguna will be mekel. By shtar shikra, we will not be, and therefore this would be a place where they're not equal. Good, they're not equal over here regarding this halacha of filling in names of people who couldn't read and couldn't sign. Fred Gemara right away. Who's speaking about reading? We're only speaking about signing. What do you mean? We only care. What do you mean? Who's speaking about reading? So, and for the Gemara, it's missing words. Eidim shein yoidim likrois. Eidim that don't know how to read. You read in front of them, and v'chaismin and sign. And those who do not know how to sign, then makron lehem. So this would be the late Reb Meir guys. This would be the lema'ute. This would be where they're different. So we have 3 ways they are the same. They're the same le'inyan b'fanei nichta b'fanei nechtam. They're the same le'inyan if you have one eight kuti, it would be okay by this. And the third way is that they can be the third way is that bezdin shel goyim, right? They can't have it in a bezdin shel goyim. That's the way they're equal. Reb Meir says there's a 4th way they're equal. That you can't change your mind, you can't do chazara. Like the chachamim, the first 3 is to exclude Reb Meir. Reb Meir, there is a distinction between Gitei Nashim and Shechrei Avodim. By Gitei Nashim, you could change your mind. By Shtar Shechro, you can't change your mind. According to Reb Meir, where's the exclusion? Why does the 4 comes to exclude? Exclude the case of Adam who do not know how to sign. Like Gitei Nashim, we would go ahead and be Masaret, and according to Rashi, and an overlay according to Rach, we would do that for Gitei Nashim. We would not do it for Shechrei Avodim. That's your distinction. Everything's good. Says the Gemara. The Suleka, meaning there aren't other places where Gitei Nashim and Shechrei Avodim are different. The Suleka, there are no other places. The Oika. Ha'omer, Knu get zel ishti. A Shchivira says, give this get to my wife. The Shtar Shechra zel avdi, and give the Shtar Shechra to my Eved. Umes, lo yitnu la'achamisa. I think I explained it wrong. Guys, the Suleka, that there's only 3, they're the same. Guys, again, I'm sorry. The Suleka, that you only have 3 that are in common, Leremea 4, I'll show you other places, another commonality between the 2 of them. Okay, I'm sorry, I said wrong shot. Suleka, that they're not common, Vayeka, Ha'omer through Getzel Ishti, V'shtar Shechra Zel Avdi, Umes, Lo Yitnu La'achamisa, right? Through money leplini, give money leplini, Umes, Yitnu La'achamisa, then you would give it after Misa. Kasha, here's another place where Gitei Nashim and Shechrei Avodim are equal. You're not going to give it Achamisa. Says the Gemara, Ki Katani, Milsa Delesa B'shtaris. When did we learn the first 3? Those are only unique to Gitei Nashim and Shechrei Avodim, not with other shtaris. Masha Ein Kain, where it's the same as other stories, right? Then we would not say we don't list that list. The Sholach Rav and Mishmei Rav Avohu have a yoidim shesholach Rav Elazar Goyla Mishum Rabbeinu, right? According to Rashbam Mishum Rav, Shtiv Me Rashanu Kisu V'Tnu Mana Leploini. Write and give a mana, a piece of karka worth of mana Leploini, who mace in Kaisim V'Noisten. Why? Shemalei Gomalak Noisei El B'Shtar. Even though what we know that the Divrei Shchivim Ra Kiksuvu Chum Sumidani, that's if we just say it. But once he said Kisvu Tenu, he was makvid. Maybe it's makvid that it has to be written. Okay, and therefore Vein Shtar Lachamisa. So a very nice akasha and a teretz. Akasha. We only have three ways they're the same. L'chari have a fourth way they're the same. That you will not give a get after misa. You won't give a shtar shechri after misa. And for the Gemara, our three that we mentioned above are unique to Gitin Nashim Shkrei Avadim. The din of Fani Nichtam, Fani Naftam certainly doesn't exist by other shtaros. The din of Eidei Kuti being kosher doesn't exist by other shtaros. And the din of Bezdin Shel Goyim does not exist by other shtaros because they're good. Kasha, I have a fourth way that is saying that you can't give a get after Misa, shtar shechri after Misa. Why isn't that included? And the answer is because you can't give a shtar of shechri also after Misa. So therefore, we wanted to learn three that are unique to Gitei Nashon Shkei Avadim and not one that would be included. Furthermore, another kasha.
Isn't it a little bit of a difference? But by the Shchiv Meirah, the shtar wasn't written yet. So we're saying you can't write.
No, he said. Kisfu, right? Utenu. If you wrote it, you still wouldn't give it over. If the guy died, even if you wrote it, you wouldn't give it over. He says, "Ain't kaisv v'noisten." He says you don't write it and give it over if the guy died. So again,
it's not written.
No, but the reason is because ain't get lachamisa. I would think even if you wrote it, you wouldn't give it over. Again, that's the sugya over there. But I think it's the distinction. The main point being that the same svara, you can't do this after misa. So in Mela, it would not be unique to Gitei Nashim Shkrei Avadim. Now, what about lishma? Vegmar ve'ikal lishma, meaning Gitei Nashim Shkrei Avadim have to be written lishma. Mashen came out other shtaros. So l'chayra, I have a fourth way. They're the same. The bishleim l'rabba hainu malach umevi. Very good. According to Rabbi, what's the reason to say b'fanei nifl b'fanei neftav? Is lishma. So that's what it means. El l'rabba. That's because the eight mitzvim l'kaimoi kasha. L'chayra, why didn't you say lishma? Is the commonality between the two, and then you would have a fourth one. The su, an additional kasha. Bein l'rabba, bein l'rava, ha'ikam mechubar. Guys, what we remember, we did this in the Hakdama of the Tiferes Yisrael. The chasav v'nosan. If you write it on an alei zayis, you're going to have to cut it and give it over. Everyone would agree that that's puzzle, right? Why? You need the chasav to write it v'nosan, not the chasav to write the kotsats and cut. No, it's an action in between and then v'nosan, right? So why don't you include that? My other stories, that would be fine. That would be l'chara a din that's unique to Gitei Nashim B'Shkrei Avadim. Okay, so l'chara l'shma and mechubar. Why are they not included? And for the Gemara, ki ketani, the three that we learned, psula d'Rabbanan, the raisa like ketani. We learned psula d'Rabbanan. Molech maybe guys, funny niftav is din d'Rabbanan. Sure, edekute is d'Rabbanan, and bezdin shel goyim is also d'Rabbanan. This is all spoken in Rashi. Masha'en came the Shema and Mechubar are both their Raisa. Read the Gemara 1 second. Going through a Goyish court is a Psul der Raisa, the Ketani, and you learned that. So in other words, that was number 3 on our hit parade. And now you're telling me that what? You're only learning the Rabbanan is not the Raisa, and therefore you didn't include Mechubar in the Shema. Over here you have a Psul der Raisa of our Kois, and nonetheless what? Nonetheless, it's not included, right? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you pshat. Be'edi mesira u'kereba laza. Right? When we're speaking that we say that shtar sharis, that other shtaris are apostle, right? When we say shtar sharis are kosher, and this is puzzle, is speaking that the edei mesira, meaning According to you, guys, let's go back in time. Go back in time. Who is the Tana who needs ksiva lishma v'chasima lishma? If it's Reb Meir, you only need chasima. If it's Reb Elazar, you only need ksiva. You don't need mesira. The first teretz was moide Reb Elazar b'mezuyif misaychai. In other words, if you didn't have any edim, great. But once you have edim signed, then they have to be okay. So, what be'emes to go to a goyish court is taka pasal deraisa. Edim mesira, it would be good because we don't need the shtar at all. Why is it pasal? Because the goyim signed on it. Why the Rebbe Elazar and Mizuyif Misaychai? That's no good. So it's not a psul deraisa; it's a psul derabanan. So our teretz is hold serve. Funny nichtav's the rabbanon, ede kuti is the rabbanon, and since edim is sira karti and the edim sign we don't really need these edim, but moed Rebbe Elazar when they're signed mizumei taichai this psul rabbanon the mela. That's why we didn't learn mechuber, and that's why we didn't learn the shema because they're the raisa. Okay, read the Gemara Kasha or mediktani seifa Reb Shimon Omer af eluk sherim. Reb Shimon is going to say af eluk sherim by Gitin nashim shuei radim. That even goyish people signed it's good. It's good. From Rabbi Zera, Yoder of Shimon l'shitasa Rabbi Eliezer Dama Edim Mesira Karti. So even if you have them, that it's still good. Mechlal, the Tanakama argues, Savar Loi must be the Tanakama who argues would hold that what that Edim Mesira Nar Karti Ela Edi Chasima. Now, guys, if it's Edi Chasima, who signed on this get? Goyim. It's Goyim. It's Psul Deraisa. Okay, let's go. Outside again. What's that teretz? We have three dinim. We have the din of Fanei Nechta, the din of Edi Kutim, and the din of Arkois. We said the first three, they're all derabanan. Therefore, we don't include Mechuber and Lishma, which are deraisa. For the Gemara, Arkois is deraisa, and for the Gemara, no, we're going according to the shita of Rebbe Elazar, that Edi Mesira Karti, and since it's really, we don't need them at all, but since they signed on it, it's midrabanan, they're puzzle. Now, Reb Shimon says the kasha. Now, Rav Shimon's argument the Tanakama. So Rav Shimon who says Al Eidei Mesira, it must be the Tanakama holds Eidei Chasima. So what do you see? That Eidei Chasima, who signed on this? Goyim. And nonetheless, what? It's possible. Why? Because it's Psul Deraisa. So why don't you learn Mechuber and why don't you learn the Shema? Says going no. And for the Gemara, really, BMS, everyone holds Eidei Mesira. Even the Tanakama holds Eidei Mesira. And okay, so guys, what's the teretz? Guys, once you don't need the Eidei Chasima, it's the Rabbanan. Once you don't need the Eidei Chasima in the Goyish courts, so if people sign on it, then what? Then it's now. If that's the case, why in the world would Rav Shimon say it's good? If you need Eidei Mesira and Moeder of Lezim Mezuyif Misaychai, why would it be good? And for the Gemara, it could be Nayu is Shemus Mufhakim. You have Shemus. The names themselves are Mufhakim. They're outstanding names that you know for sure they're Goyim, and therefore you would not go ahead and you wouldn't be soymech on what? What are we worried about? That you can be soymech if the Eidei Mesira go away, you can be soymech on this Eidei Chasima. You'll never be soymech upon them. Why? Because their names are so outstanding. Their names are so outstanding that the Goyish names. You see a name Jose. You see a name Adolf, right? You see names that what? That Jews would never name their kids. Mamela says Rav Shimon. Therefore, since it's screaming out that these Eidim not to be Saimach upon, it's okay. With the Chum disagree. Okay. So right now we held serve. Why do we hold serve? That Einachinami. The reason we didn't learn Ksiva and Mechuber is because they're Psulim Deraisa, and the three that we did learn, Fanei Nichtav and Edi Kute and Akois with Shemus Akois with Edi Mesira Karti, so any Psul is Derabanan. Fedgmar v'chazora Deraisa, Dikatani. Chazara is the Araisa. The Chazara is the Araisa, and you did learn, right? Chazara, the ability to go ahead, what? And be chayzer, the ability to go ahead, what? And be chayzer. According to Rameya, the Baal or the Adin are able. So this is the kasha according to who? According to Rameya, right? Guys, look at the Amid Beis. 3 lines down. Ba'arba. Ha'ime tein get zel ishti, u'shtashikra zel avdi, rotzalach the shneim yachsar. Loy Reb Meya, right? Like the Chachamim. So Loy Reb Meya, you can both of them. You can have Chazara. Now the din of Chazara is the din of Raisa. So how could you give this teretz? Right? How could you give this teretz and say, excuse me? Says Rashi, Chazara. What's the lachsa b'shneihem? L'Reb Meya psula deraisahu. The kivin the bottle mishalech l'shlichusei the shliach nimsa shein shlucha. He's not a shliach anymore. The ein kan geirush in klal. V'hainu deraisa. The Rachmona Amar v'nasan biyada v'zel loy nasan loyhu v'loy shluchay. Guys, if this is a get, and I give it to my I give it to my wife, right? If this is a get, and I give it to my wife on using Benji, I'm a vatl Benji. When Benji gives it over to my wife, there's no v'nasan. I didn't give it. Benji's not a shliach anymore. So felt in the nesina. That's a din deraisa, v'nasan. So and yet Reb Meir learned that. So obviously Reb Meir is learning chazara. Then deraisa can't be the distinction between why you didn't learn mechuber and why you didn't learn lishma. So hadru kasha leduchte, we're bringing that kasha back, right? We're bringing that kasha back. So and for the Gemara, you're right. Ella, we have to come on to another teretz, right? The reason we did not learn mechuber and we did not learn lishma is because of a different reason. So we're having charata now. The distinction between the Raisa and the Rabbanon is not the real distinction. We're coming on to a different shot now. Elaki Katani, the Brisa, the three, Milsa the lesser B'Kedushin. These dinim are not noeg B'Kedushin. These dinim, Fanei Nichtav is not noeg B'Kedushin. Eidei Kute is not noeg B'Kedushin. And Akois is not noeg B'Kedushin. We'll see Rashi in a second. Milsa the Issa B'Kedushin, something that is B'Kedushin, we learn from the Hekesh between Gerishin and Kedushin, Loy Ketani. And therefore, we did not learn what? We did not learn Mechuber. I guess you can't write a shtar on Mechuber of shtar Kedushin. And we didn't learn Lishma. Okay, let's see Rashi here. Elaki Ketani Milsa Delesa Kedushin. Klaimar. Ki Parchina Le'el. When you asked before, Ha'ikam Mechuber Lishma, Loy Teshani, don't answer Psula deraisa. That's not the right teretz. Why? Because chazara is deraisa, and we did learn it. Loikatani. Elaema milsa de issa b'kedushin loikatani. Kigoin lishma umechuber issa nami b'shtari kedushin. Something that has commonality not only between Gitin Nash v'shuchrei Rodim, but also between shtar kedushin that we did learn. Kidichsiv v'yatzu mibeisod, and he leaves his house. V'hoisel ish acher, and he'll be to another. And she will be to another man. So we say v'yotza is the lashon of gerishin, v'hoisa is the lashon of kedushin. So ishkis havaya liyitzia. We make a hekesh to going into a man's house, to leaving a man's house. Avo b'fanei nichtav lesa b'kedushin. Itakanta d'rabbanan ba'alma hu begitin. Dilma asi ba'alma arer u'pasalei. Ve'edei kute nami einu kosher b'kedushin. The hayda achshira begitin haynu taima kidul kamon. The edei aget ein chois menzeb leizeh. Mashen came b'shar shtaros. V'arkois nami lesa b'kedushin. Heichadika edei Mesiri Yisrael. The begetu b'shirchu hu the gazid. Dilma asi lemisvach alayu. We slimich on them. Matzuchinu like gita achrina. Al b'kedushin kivin the v'eraisa mekudeshes. If you have edei Mesira, Misham edei Mesira, Yom edei mekudeshes. If you're going to say edei mekudeshes, Shaya Ishla Alma. So we have a new teretz, guys. What's a new teretz? Why those three? When you said Melech Mevi, Eidei Kute, and Akoyas of Goy, that's possible by what? By Gitei Nashim v'Shechrui Avadim. In those cases, you have Lishma and Mechuber. After the Gemara, the Shma and Mechuber exists by Kedushin. We learned something that one doesn't exist by Kedushin. What doesn't exist by Kedushin? Fanei Nechtav, Eidei Kute, and Akois doesn't exist by Kedushin, as Rashi just said. Okay? And therefore, very geshmak. That's why we didn't learn Mechuber and Lishma. How do you know Mechuber and Lishma does exist by Kedushin? Because you have a Hekesh, the Yatza v'Hoisa l'Shacher, the Yatza v'Hoisa, the Yatza is Yitzia, v'Makash v'Ayel Yitzia. So right now, we're great. We're great, everything is good. Why? We only learned these three and not any others. Read the Gemara Akasha, the Chazara Gufa Isya B'Kedushin, right? If there is Chazara, if a man sends a star kedushin to his wife, he could change his mind, and yet Reb Meir learned it. Same kasha, right? Same Chazara is the Raisa. Reb Meir learned it. So, and that did away with our last teretz. So now we want to do away with your teretz, right? What's your teretz? Your teretz is that something that is by kedushin we didn't learn, but Chazara is by kedushin and we did learn it. For the Gemara, Chazara gufi is the kedushin. Okay, so and for the Gemara, the shlichus bal korchoy, the begerishin isya, the kedushin lessa. Like there's a difference in the shlichus. By the shlichus of sending a get to a wife, she can't change her mind. She has no say in this matter, zero. By shenking by kedushin, she has a say in the matter. She has a say in the matter. Let's see Rashi. The shlichus bal korchoy kloimar dumya de gita le mishkachas la kedushin. We do not find the similarity. In other words, the teretz is a good teretz. We only learn the similarities between things that are dissimilar, but things that are similar we didn't learn, and therefore we didn't learn. For the Gemara, Chazara is similar, and for the Gemara, Chazara is not similar. Why? The shliach semishtalech etzel garsha al karcha. You sent the shliach to divorce her against her will. The chen le'ev l'shakrei al karchai, and so to the evet to go ahead and free him against his will. Al kedushin lehoya nasa shliach etzla al karcha. The shliach cannot be a shliach against her will. Hilka chachik tani. Bizu shove Gitin noshim v'shchuri avodim. Shliach zeh hoya nasa shliach etzlan al karcham. The shliach was made for the eved. The shliach was made for the isha against her will. Then what's about chayzer? But masha'enkim b'kedushin the avagav the chayzer. Like dumya dahani, even though they're similar in that you could change your mind, they're dissimilar in shlichus. The shlichus of an eved and a get are against their will. The shlichus of a kedushin is not against their will. So therefore, we hold true. The reason we listed these three and not mechuber and lishma is not because of the raisa. It's because the shma and mechuber exist by kedushin, and we want to learn the halachas that don't exist by kedushin. The halachas of the funny nichtav, the halacha ve'dikute, the halacha merkois does not exist by kedushin. Thus, we learn those three and not others. I wish everyone mamish. If not for this, there'd be many guys in the street, right? This is the difference between us and everybody else. The words of Rabbi Yosef, right? What do we have over there?
These are my notes from you said over Erev Shavuos last year. You said.
What did I say?
You said in Meshech Chachma, the Medrash by the Akedah, the Avram came back to Yishmael, but Yitzchak.
Yes, we spoke out last year that by the Akedah, it says, where was Yitzchak? When he came back, where was Yitzchak? He said he sent him to the yeshiva Shem Ve'eva. He said he sent him right away to the yeshiva of Shem Ve'eva. He said that everything that they possibly could have attained, they attained. They were complete. Yitzchak was the Tmima, Avram did not. There was no one in the Sionis anymore. He was complete. Why? Because they were in the mitzvah v'isa. They were not mitzvah v'isa, and therefore the only thing that it could do is basically complete your physical guf. But there's another aspect of Torah that says the Meshech Chachma. That's the aspect of Torah where you're connecting to the Rabbi Shalom, and that can only be fulfilled by mitzvah v'oisa. So Avram Avinu was mitzvah v'oisa. He said, anything that came to me is only because of Torah. So he sent him right away to learn Torah. But us, who have that capacity with mitzvah v'oisa, we could attain something of it that even Avram Avinu couldn't attain. We can attain a unique relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu of kaviyachol. According to this, is basically based upon a Toras Chaim, going ahead and being part. Like Kaviyach is the nefesh of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, and we can tap into that by learning Torah. This Maman Torah is, again, we said by the Siyam. I thought that was a very important deher. I think it's a nice idea. Why do we have to be Ish Echad B'Leiv Echad? Why do we have to be Ish Echad B'Leiv Echad? Is because the unique differences between people. If you look around, you're supposed to be Am Echad, but it's kind of difficult. Some people, like for example, me and Hesh. We were friends even before we learned the word, and we'd still be friends if we didn't learn a word. We're buddies. So yet there are other people that I'm not buddies with because we have likes and dislikes, different personalities, Yeah, we're supposed to be together. How does that occur? It occurs through Torah. Torah is l'mayla min hateva. Torah overrides the differences between people, the dissimilarities between people, the dislikes between people, and it connects all of us. Now, why was that? Because by Sinai we were ish echad b'leiv echad. We were as one. We were as one, and that's what it's spoke. Yeah. Again, this is the opportunity. Again, fellas, just go back to last week. Torah is just this. It can create something that does not exist. It's not normal. We went through this Pir Shabbos. Posher was not. Rav Avi said it so beautifully. It doesn't. It's crazy. It's crazy in a crazy way, and it's all because of Torah. So chaparoi, mitzmama tarasena. Take your time learning. Enjoy your cheesecake. Enjoy your blintzes. If you pierogin, enjoy your wine. If you drink liquor, enjoy that too. But all the Shem Shemayim. And Benji, I'm angry at you for leaving. So have a good night.
The bathroom and water is available for you.
Okay, that brought you back.
I'm opening 2 bottles, so you have to open it.